Your child can really succeed when you have internet in your home.
Tonight's Xfinity TV high school football game of the week and the postgame show is brought to you by the Pittsburgh Sports Report, Pittsburgh's premier sports publication. Visit them on the web at pittsburghsportsreport.com. Ellis Cannon, Tim Benz back with you here in the press box at North Allegheny as the Tigers have won here at Newman Stadium and they advance the next round of the playoffs after beating the Hempfield Spartans by a final score of 42-7. And before we start, we're going to go right back down to the field where Casey has Art Walker, the victorious head coach of North Allegheny.
Thanks, Tim. Coach, you talked about making adjustments at halftime defensively. It looks like you were able to do so in that second half.
Yeah, it's not me. It's our defensive coaches, Doug Brinkley and the rest of his staff on the defense side of the ball do a great job. And they shut things down in the second half, and we had an opportunity to do some things running the football, and Turner White stepped up a lot in the second half, got us some big runs, and really happy with how we played in the second half and pulled away.
Turner White, Mike Pope, and Ethan Mayenza. What can you say about those players offensively?
Those guys, they're all weapons for us, and you add Nico Murmagus into that and a group of linemen that just block and do all the grunt work. And, we're one of the only teams that plays with multiple tight ends, and those guys do a lot of work and almost are treated more like offensive linemen than pass catchers. So, it's when you have that unselfish attitude and you want to put your team first, and those guys get the opportunity to shine.
Again, 42-7. Moving on to the next round of the playoffs. I'm sure you're already going to be looking at films, probably starting tomorrow.
Oh yeah, we'll enjoy this win, and we're over it in 24 hours, and we're happy and proud and thankful to be playing 7 more days of football and make it to the Final Four in 6A, and whoever won the Mount Lebanon Seneca game, we're looking forward to playing them.
Hopefully they turn on some victory music for you guys after this song, huh?
Yeah, I hope so. We need to get this place going a little bit.
Thanks, Coach. Congratulations. Back to you, Tim.
It's actually an excellent point there. Wonderful tonight from Clapp. It's a little bit low-key for a 42-7 victory.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the pregame music from the X playlist that I mentioned before.
That's right. That was really banging.
Yeah,
It's interesting in this game, 42-7, that was what it was last time.
Yeah.
It was a downpour in that game. It was bone dry in this game. But at the end of the day, it still was about the offensive line winning those battles and being able to run the ball. And we also mentioned Jordan Koepka as a player to keep an eye on, of course, for Hempfield. And, I'd mentioned at the beginning of the game that they're going to try to make that team one-dimensional by taking him out of the game. And I think they did that. But I also think it was Hempfield's design to come out and pass, as per your conversation with Rich Bowen. So, whatever it was, ultimately it led to a Hempfield team throwing the ball either out of need or interest, but ultimately a team that had to do it from behind. And without a running game, they're one-dimensional. It's easy to attack defensively, and certainly their offense for North Allegheny attacked as well in that second half.
It's not often you see a quarterback get named player of the game when he only completes 4 passes, but when Ethan Mayenza runs the ball for 95 yards and a touchdown in the second play of the game to set the tone, that's what we needed to see to have him be our player of the game. We go down to the field with Casey and him again.
Thanks, Tim. We were just talking about that 96-yard run, huh, Ethan? What did you see on that play? It almost seemed like more than that when you were about 2 yards in the end zone and then you ran it for a touchdown.
Well, they had the original play covered, so I just tried to make something happen. I saw an opening on the right side and sort of took advantage of it. I had some blocking downfield that was great. Overall, it just was a broken play that turned out pretty well for us.
Besides that play, you also played some cornerback, so you were on both sides of the field, made a pretty big play on a pass breakup in that second quarter. What did you see on that play?
Well, I lost him originally. The QB was scrambling for a while, and receiver ran a nice route, and I just happened to locate the ball just as it was in his hands and knew I had to break it up. So it was a nice play. It was a good play.
Again, 42-7, a dominating second half. What changes did you guys make for that second half to, shut them down?
Well, we came out pretty slow the first half, and coach has gone on us in the locker room. We made some adjustments defensively and offensively. Overall, we just wanted to stick to basics. We were trying to do too much in the first half. We were a little bit too loose, so we focused in the second half and we got the job done.
Coach Walker said you'll enjoy this win, but you're going to start looking at stuff probably as soon as tomorrow for next week's game. How excited are you for that?
Oh, so excited. It's going to be great. Doesn't matter who the opponent is, but we'll be ready.
7 more days of football.
Yep.
Congratulations. Back to you guys.
You bet, Casey. Thank you very much, and thank you, Ethan, as well. Well, you got a 95-yard run from the quarterback for a touchdown. By the way, we wound up officially with just 98 yards because of the sack totals and whatnot.
That's what he did the first game. The
Same
numbers
thing.
are eerie. He had 98 yards rushing in the first game. He only had, I think, 4 or 7 passing in that game. He said he had 4 completions tonight. So a lot of these things mirrored each other.
What were we doing here? For the better weather, is that what it was?
We were here to make sure Casey was as good as she was. She did a great job.
Well, I was about to say, for a 95-yard touchdown run, that's not even the play of the game, brought to you by the Best of the Batch Foundation. Instead, it's Nico Mermagas and his 99-yard interception return for a touchdown. You can see the pressure applied there, Ellis, and then Mermagas sets it up, turns on the Jets, and no one was catching him.
It was a 7-point game. Hempfield looking at a 4th down deep in the red zone, knowing they needed a conversion, a smart play, called a timeout to get in the right play, immediately followed by the black and yellow calling a timeout. That battle of timeouts went to that team. Pressure up the middle, quarterback flushed out, throws across his body, pick 6.
There's your Best of the Batch Foundation play of the game. Well, we were talking about it before. Let's take a look at the bracket as it stands right now based on who is moving on to the second round of the playoffs after this 42-7 victory. You see North Allegheny and Central Catholic winners already. Central Catholic beating Norwin. Mount Leb and Seneca Valley next up. The winner there gets North Allegheny. Bethel and Pine Richland at the bottom part of the bracket for Pittsburgh Central Catholic. It could set up for a North Allegheny Central Catholic championship rematch, which I'd love to see at Heinz Field based on everything we talked about, Ellis, given the fact it was such a blowout in favor of the Vikings the first time around, but that was not a complete team at all for NA. You miss your quarterback, you miss your best receiver, Mermagas, 2 guys we've talked about already, and a Division I tight end. That's not really a fair indication of what this game could be a second time around.
Yeah, and as you pointed out earlier, we saw North Allegheny turned away from that game the next week, as Art Walker told you, when they beat up Shaler, and it allowed that team to feel good about itself. And maybe they just wrote it off to those injuries. 55 is a big number. 55 is the worst it's ever been up here, and that's not a good thing. And I guarantee you, if it gets to that, it'll be very interesting how Art Walker and this team reacts to it. Of course, there's a lot of talent with Central Catholic, make no mistake, but they're headed toward each other. We just learned Seneca Valley did win that game against Mount Lebanon. So next week for NA, it's going to be Seneca Valley as we look at that updated chart right now. And you can see that Seneca Valley advances with the win over Mount Lebanon, leaving Pine Richland Bethel Park. And, Tim, I dare say that if, in fact, it comes into that setting that we've been talking about, it'll be interesting. I appreciate Coach saying they'll wait 1 day, 24 hours. He'll be watching film of Seneca Valley by midnight.
Oh, probably, yeah. Well, and he said what you said, Ellis, which was, for as much as it's easy to make an excuse that our roster was decimated by injuries going to that Central Catholic game, it's not like they weren't good.
Yeah.
They put up 55 points as well.
Yeah,
So
they're a good football team.
Entirely excuse-making here. I don't want to make it sound like that, but
No.
I think the vast difference in the score was about the injuries. Maybe Central Catholic wins anyway, but the difference in the score had to be augmented by what took place with the injuries going into the game.
There's some Division I players over there. Of course, there's a ton of them. So Central Catholic advances. It's going to be fun to see how it all plays out.
All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks a lot to the crew and Casey down on the sidelines, and thanks a lot to the players who made tonight a special playoff game. 42-7, the final score as North Allegheny beats Hempfield and advances on to play Seneca next week. Lots of fun this evening on the Xfinity High School Football Game of the Week.